Roll.
Bing buzz.
Right, party people in the place to be, vandals and everybody else chilling. This is a brand new Pink Spots, and tonight we're talking about an extra special book. This is the book that personally got me into kickstarting, and has just been very influential to me. Like Dave Cook has just been super sweet to me ever since I kind of met him, which is the only reason why we got into Kickstarters. And Joey, what's the name of the book we are talking about tonight?
We're going to be taking a look at an outstanding series called Killtopia. This was published by Dave Cook, I think his personal imprint called BHP, I believe it is.
Yep, BHP Comics.
BHP Comics, yeah, with a little heart in the comics and the O. It's cute.
And yeah, I can't wait to get into this. It's a very, very explosive and extraordinary book. But before we kind of get into before we jam, do you have a check-in, Joseph?
Yeah, I actually started watching a few series because I took a day or two off work to give my knee a rest because it's been sore. So I watched Hijack with Idris Elba, which is a pretty solid series. What else did I watch?
Oh, he's got a new show?
Yeah,
Oh,
called
cool.
Hijack. Yeah, it's about a plane getting hijacked, and he's on it. So, yeah, it's not like Samuel L. Jackson with snakes on a plane. It's nothing like that. He doesn't say fuck every 2 seconds. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's on Apple TV. It's an Apple original, and I don't know how many episodes it is, but I think it's up to episode 5. 6 drops tomorrow, so. I'm assuming because it's a 6-hour flight and each episode is about an hour, so I'd assume that the 6th episode would probably be the final episode because that would make like the 6-hour flight, which is kind of cool if it's a 6. It's almost like it's almost like live. What's going on and how they're handling it. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So that's one of the series I've been watching. What was another one? I watched The Flash.
The old show or the new one? Oh, the
movie? Yeah, I fell asleep.
Is that streaming already? Okay.
Yeah, I think it dropped today streaming, yeah. Today was the first day. Oh. Yeah, so you can go rent that on all your streaming platforms. Oh. And I fell asleep on it after the first hour. I'll have to rewatch it. What's that?
Because it was bad or because you were tired?
I think a combination of both.
Because I haven't been hearing super good things about it, so that's why I was asking.
Oh, hey Cookie, hey Johnny Ortiz. It's about the equivalent of, I'd say, like Ant-Man.
Okay.
The last one, the quarantine, whatever.
Mania.
Yeah, whatever it is, quantum quarantine mania or whatever the fuck it was. Oh, Cookie's taking jabs at me.
Shocking.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know how I feel about long run times, and as I'm getting older, I just can't do the long run times anymore. Short and sweet, man. Keep it fast paced, or else you're gonna lose me. Yeah. Or maybe she's making reference to Mandy, the ultimate sleeping pill.
Well, you kind of fall asleep a lot, though. Like you were telling me when you were reading Blam, you kept falling asleep. So you're like my dad. Are you like a kind of a narcoleptic?
No, but maybe it's a screen, like the glow of the screen, kind of. I think that might be it. Because I'll watch TV, and if it's, let's say 10 o'clock. After 10 o'clock, man, like I'm watching, let's say I watch normal TV or a hockey game, that first commercial that hits at 2 minutes, that's all it takes me. Boom, I'm out. So, yeah.
Lucky, man. I'm insomniac. I got to take care of sleep.
Well, keep watching Mandy. You'll fall asleep. Or Repo Man. Repo Men. What's the one with Jude Law?
Yeah,
And
Repo Men.
yeah, that's a good movie to make you fall asleep too. That one. That'll cure anyone's case of insomnia, I guarantee.
Watch it, buddy.
Yeah, that's true. We still have to get something lined up for that episode, the Mandy episode. Yeah.
So you watch anything else, Joe?
Oh, I watched that movie you watched on Netflix.
Nimona?
Nimona. Yeah, I watched that this afternoon.
Did you like
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it kind of made me cry a little bit.
Yeah, it was nice and touching. Almost as good as Puss in Boots 2. Not quite, but like it's on that almost same level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It didn't make me quite cry in the same way the Flash did, but you know.
Yeah, just end it.
Yeah, tears of pain and suffering. The other one was more tears of sadness. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm over with the whole cameo shit. I mean, it's anticlimactic. Everyone's doing it. There's always like a callback or a wink, and it's just gotten old, I think.
But it's Michael Keaton as Batman.
His intro was pretty good. Like he actually had a part in it. You know, so
I was just saying what the fanboys say, man. Like,
yeah,
I'm kind of with you, but like I do want to see it. Like I don't. I want to see everything. You know what I mean? Kind of.
I fell asleep right after that. And then when I woke up, one of the Flashes had like a bat-inspired Flash suit, and I was like, "What the fuck's going on?" I was all lost and shit. Like, why is the Flash kind of half dressed like Batman? Anyway, I don't know. And I didn't see the introduction of Superman. I fell asleep on that part. So when I woke up, they were fighting. I think they were already fighting Zod when I woke up. Yeah. Or I think it was Zod. Anyway, I don't know. I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, Zod's definitely in it, like the Michael Shannon Zod. I will find him, Zod.
So, yeah. Yeah, and the Batman suit in the beginning sucked. The Flash bat-inspired suit sucked. The Flash suit was okay. It wasn't bad. It was cool the way they did it. But all in all, it was just... You know, I won't say it's horrible, but it's not. It's far from being a great movie.
You're not like with Stephen King saying it's the best superhero movie made yet.
Stephen King said that?
Yeah, Stephen King said that. A bunch of people said that.
But did he fall off the wagon again, or what's going on?
Yeah, he might be back on the powder. I don't know.
It's possible. Possible. I don't want to insult him or anything, but yeah.
Go ahead.
Or he's getting old. Maybe he's getting a little senile, you know. Anyway, I think that pretty much sums it up. I'm sure there's another show I watched a little bit of, but The Foundation, is that it? That like
yeah, the Isaac Asimov show. Like I still want to see that hella bad.
That's on Apple TV as well. I went through Apple TV and started checking out all their like series that I went through all their stuff, and I watched the first episode of that. And I don't know. I can't judge it from one episode. I can't. And Bad Sisters was the other one I watched. That one I think I'll watch with Pat because it's about murdering someone, so she'll like that. Yeah. So that's pretty much my check-in. Books I've read are pretty much books that we'll be talking about in future episodes. Like Friday we'll be talking about Enigma, so I started reading that. I brushed up on Killtopia for this episode, so that's pretty much all the comics I've read.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about you?
Well, I picked up the what's it called? Siren in the City, or Siren of the City. I haven't read it yet, but like everybody was telling me it's really good, and I love the art in it, man. It's black and white with just hints of color, very tastefully done. It's a really, really gorgeous book in the way that Boom used to really it's kind of a return, like with stuff like this in Grimm. It's kind of nice to see Boom going back to their roots of having like the really striking looking coloring in their books.
So that's a Boom book?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's kind of it with reading. I watched Fast 10 Part 1, and Adrian was right. Jason Momoa is probably one of the best Jokers, even though like he's not officially a Joker. He's hilarious in the movie, man. Like I know you don't like those films, but like it's worth watching to see him ham it up, dude. Like he is so good.
I was gonna watch it. It was between that and the Flash, and then I saw the Flash was there, so I picked the Flash. But maybe Fast and Furious would have kept me awake. Maybe there was more action or interesting action in it. I don't know.
And I do have a shout out, and this is something that I kind of want to introduce for the show going forward, since we are going to be implementing changes. I kind of want to do really cool announcements that come out that we want to shout out too.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
found out about this one through you. This came through the
Yeah.
wire today on Zoe Thorogood's Instagram. She's going to be doing a hack and slash series, which back to school. And oh man, I am so over the moon about this because I love her writing, and I can't wait to see what she does with Cassie Hack, because the way that hack slash has always kind of been written, with Casey kind of being trouble and everything. I think Zoe's going to take it to the next level, and then her artwork is just amazing. Like the way she does Vlad there. Oh man, like I am so hyped for this. I'm so glad that Tim Seeley's just kind of let it be a property that young talent can just kind of take and run with now. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what Zoe can do with it, because she is just.
She hinted at that series a while back, but was very vague about it, and like a lot of people were trying to guess what she was working on, because she said she was working on an IP that wasn't hers, an existing IP. So then everyone was trying to guess what she was working on, and in a million years I would have never guessed it was hack and slash. And we're pretty big fans of hack and slash here, and I think it has a pretty good cult following. So it'll be fun to see what she does with that series.
And it starts in October, I believe she said. So
yeah, so the pre-orders will be in August. August. The next previews that's coming out for the month of August, the pre-orders for it will be in there. I'm not sure. Is it under Image? What's it going under?
Yeah, I think it might be Top Cow, but it's still Image, so it'll probably be in the section.
But it'll be in the previews next month, so look out for that. Yeah. Oh, and if we're in the last previews that just came out, there was a Shaky book.
Yeah, Shaky Kane's book, not
Monster Adventures or Adventures.
Monster Club, right?
Monster Club, yeah, Monster Fan Club. Sorry, that's it. Monster Fan Club was in the last preview. So if you like Shaky, because he's the artist that's on. If you're not familiar with the name, the artist that's on Weird Works. So if you picked up Weird Work. Or Weird Works, the artist on that has a new series coming out in September for Monster Fan Club. Yeah, it's a 3-issue series, so yeah, so look out for that. All right, so that does our check-in. So I guess we could get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. Yeah, Killtopia. Love that pinup or variant cover or whatever.
Yeah, it's a variant for issue 2 that Quitley did.
Yeah, Quitley. There's a bunch of awesome pinups and variant covers for this book. Fantastic.
What kind of sucks is in the digital, the PDFs for the book, they don't have the pinup gallery like they do in the physical ones. There's some really good pinups that like Tula Lotte did. Shaky Kane did one.
In the later, he puts them in the later issues, the digital.
The PDFs, okay.
Yeah, in the PDF later on, like the one that just came out, his last Kickstarter was issue 5, and they just sent the PDFs out, maybe a month ago?
No, maybe 2 weeks at the most.
Oh, 2 weeks, so it's really, really recent. Okay, I thought it was like a month but
no,
yeah.
I sent it to you as soon as I got it, which...
Yeah, so that means there was pinups at the end of that one, which was pretty cool, yeah. And he's been pushing it lately, putting all the pinups and giving shout-outs to all the people that worked on it and saying thanks. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. And we talked about the first issue way back when we first started the show, episode 4. We did a Robots in Dystopia episode, and we talked about actually the first installment of this, book 1. Yeah, and man, I remember it gave me vibes of like kind of like the first book. I remember way back then when I read it. Like now we've read the whole thing, so it's a lot different. But my first impressions were like kind of like Running Man mixed with, what was it I said? I didn't rewatch the episode, but kind of like you got that you have a bunch of wreckers that go in. It's like a challenge where they kill all these robots that are taking over a district, and so it's kind of like a game to maintain or eradicate all these robot entities that are invading a certain district of the this city or population. Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be Tokyo. They never say exactly which city in Japan it is. It might be Yokohama, possibly,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure it's Tokyo.
So that was way back, like episode 4. So what? Almost probably 2 years ago now. We talked about that.
Maybe
So
2.5, maybe more,
yeah,
because we took a long break when I got sick. So
yeah. So now it's really fun to have been able to read the whole series right to the end and really get to see where it was going. So that's pretty cool. So we'll be able to touch on that and elaborate on the story. There'll probably be some spoilers too. So
minor ones. We're not going to get
yeah,
into like the end stuff, but we will kind of spoil things that happened in the middle of the series, maybe.
a little bit, yeah. Yeah, and we'll be showing you some awesome art because
Yeah, because right off the bat, like, didn't you get the same feeling that this read like an actual, higher tier indie label book more than like your average Kickstarter? I mean, just the production value, but like the writing and the art, man, it really came off as something that you'd see from like Dark Horse, like that.
yeah,
Right off
Dark
the
Horse, yeah, or like and Craig Paton's style. He has that kind of that indie, like I'd almost compare like other artists that I've seen that have a similar style is the Death Burger person.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the coloring that they did in this book.
Yeah,
Very familiar to similar to Death Burger's looking.
yeah, the Death Burger stuff. It's got a little bit of that style, who I love as well. So it's great. It definitely has that streamlined, simple lines. It's not too busy, uh, but it has that kind of raw edge to it, which is pretty cool. It's clean, but still kind of, it has that, not a whimsical feel. It kind of has like that grittiness without like the dark inks, the heavy inks and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Like there's not thick outlines or anything. Like
Yeah,
there's a lot of lines, but like he doesn't cross hatch or anything like that. So you can see all the line work, I guess, at its finest. And I believe that is a style of clean line. It's not. It doesn't look very European. It's kind of a mix between European and Japanese. Not quite as manga looking as Clark Bint, the artist that takes over later on in the books. Because he throws in total manga feel on a lot of his panels. So
yeah.
But Craig Paton, yeah, his is a lot more 2000 AD feeling. Like I remember a lot of it's in black and white still, but like I remember like looking at old from the 70s old Strontium Dog like strips and stuff, and remembering it like Carlos Esquizilla art kind of looked a lot like this, and maybe Brian Boland too, but I guess.
So the story starts out with
Shinji, our main dude.
Shinji, our main dude, whose ambition is to become a wrecker, and the big dog wrecker of the crew. Like there's a bunch of people that compete, and it's Stiletto is the king of the wreckers.
Queen.
She's queen, yeah, queen. And her character is pretty cool too. So you have this young Shinji guy who's really striving, but he doesn't quite have it. He doesn't have the skills, but he's trying, and he stumbles upon this robot that has more of a, what is it? Not as wild. It's more sentient, right? Compared to some of the other robots, or what do you call them? Mechs, or not mechs, but
yeah, they call them mechs in this.
Yeah, mechs. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. And so he finds him, and because he doesn't have that killer instinct, he doesn't just like boom shoot him down right away and stuff. So they have this interaction, and he realizes like, man, robots can have like emotion and feelings, kind of like people. He starts to kind of get that vibe from him. So, and then a wrecker shows up, and wreckers, I think they get bonus points for killing other wreckers and stuff like that too. So that
only
he
only
goes,
during the Wrecker Fest. It's
yeah, the fests, the big fests, yeah, the Wrecker Fest. So
because you actually get in trouble for killing wreckers out of season. And that Shinji and the robot Crash kind of do get in trouble because this wrecker shows up and he's like being a dick and he tries to wreck Crash, who's the cool like
the
Riyadh looking
yeah,
robot.
yeah, yeah, and then he goes to kind of kick Shinji's ass, and that's where Crash kind of saves him, kind of. Yeah, and then that's when you said they get into trouble. They're on the run, dive off. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a cliff, the edge of like a building or a structure into the water, and they escape, and that's where the adventure. That's pretty much book one, right? They introduce Stiletto as well. Uh,
And Shinji's sister Omi, who's like a big part. But in this, at the beginning, like basically Shinji doesn't want to be a wrecker. He's only wrecking because his sister Omi has this disease called the rod, which is caused because of the robots. They do this terraforming where they kind of they let out their exhaust and it lets out these nanomachines and it infects people and it basically fills them full of nanomachines that are slowly tearing them apart. So Shinji's doing all this to save his sister Omi, who ends up becoming a real big part of the book.
yeah, and that's why they have wreckers, right? This is why they want to kill all the mechs and everything to try to control this disease, like you're saying. Yeah. So that's pretty much book one. And they introduce Stiletto, and of course she's a badass. You know, she's got her whip, her gun with the "I love my gun" written on it. Yeah, cool gun. It's kind of well, we'll see it later on in I think is it book 4 or the end of book 3? I think it's book 4. Anyway, or maybe anyway, it's kind of like a Judge Dredd gun, kind of.
Yeah, she can talk to it and tell it different settings.
Yeah, so it's very very inspired by Judge Dredd's gun.
But yeah, Stiletto's design is just rad, and then she's got this really cool rapier sword, but like it launches out like a whip, and it just can like slice dudes up like that. It's her gear is pretty rad, but like she is like the queen. Like she is also like a mega influencer. She has her own like live stream and stuff like that, and people buy like replicas of her crap. And I don't know, she's kind of a dick, but like in a really kind of cool, fun way.
Yeah, see, that's the part that made me think of Running Man a little bit, right? Because you have these wreckers and they become celebrities based on how well they wreck, or you know, they're standing, and you know, people thrive on just, you know, the wreckers killing each other during Wreckfest and all that, and that's the part that kind of gave me the Running Man vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. That first issue, they introduce all that. Then we get into book 2. Was there anything else in the first book that kind of...
Basically, there's the Yakuza guy Saito who finds out about Crash the robot and wants to take him because basically this dude wants to make the mechs more accommodating to humans so they can make them work for people in the city. And so like this Yakuza guy wants to get Crash so he can try to make the robots work for the people, and he puts out this big bounty on Crash's head. For Crash and Shinji, and that kind of leads to, that's why like all the wreckers end up finding out about Crash's existence and kind of he puts a bounty on him, so they're all kind of looking for him. And that's how Stiletto gets put into Shinji's orbit and kind of finds out about Crash, and she kind of at the end of issue 1 she kind of shows up at their place and kidnaps Crash, and that sets us up for issue 2.
When does Crash get his jacket?
That's in issue 1. Yeah, that
it's right at near the end, right when he gets introduced to the sister, right, Omi?
Kind of, yeah. Like he takes him to his shop and basically gives him the jacket and gives him a sticker because he's got a dent on his chest to make him blend in a little better.
Yeah, that's cool. Like this book is total cyberpunk book, right? If you like cyberpunk stuff, this book has got like big time cyberpunk vibes, and Crash just looks so fucking badass with that jacket on. I mean, like it's cool. He's got like that, you know, with the 2 antennae on his head, with the spikes on the shoulders, and that one shoulder pad, the red shoulder pad. What's written on the back of his jacket again?
High tech, low life.
High tech, low life. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I really dug the design of Crash.
Yeah,
and he's such a a sympathetic character, right? Like you fall in love with him right from the start.
Yeah, he's completely innocent, kind of like he's like a little
Yeah,
kid. They find him, and he knows that there are wreckers and there are humans that are mean, but like he meets Shinji, who's nice to him, so he kind of really gets taken in by him and wants to help him because Shinji knows that Crash can speak, which no other mech can do. So he reasons that this guy can decipher between the robot language and the human language, and he could speak to the rot and maybe make it stop. So he's going to try to have Crash save his sister.
Yeah, try to find a cure for the rot. Yeah, through Crash, because Crash can what do you call it?
Decode.
Yeah, it's like, what is it? Wire in or jack in or whatever, and then in the system. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and like you said, like Crash can talk, so he's an anomaly, right, amongst all these mechs. So he becomes, like you say, like there's a bounty to try to capture him, and so they can use him or study him or whatever it is. Yeah, yeah. And that's how they end up on the run.
And Stiletto kidnaps him.
Yeah.
And then basically like Shinji to get Crash back, he's got to team up with his ex-girlfriend Blaze and her brother Travis, who are like these crazy hacker crew. And it's to rescue Crash. They get these cool Akira motorcycles, but it's hella funny. They only have two that are really cool, and the third one's like this little crappy Vespa one that Shinji's
Vespa. Yeah.
So they're like
Shinji always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to weapons, everything. Yeah. Yeah. They're riding their cool fucking Akira bikes, and he's just riding his little Italian moped. That's good.
When they're riding up the wall, yeah, and he's on that little moped, yeah, some really funny stuff.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much book one, right? Then we kick into book two.
No, that's in book two. That's
the beginning, the middle. Yeah. Okay. And then you still have Stiletto that has Crash, and then we get
King Kaiju.
King Kaiju, yeah. King Kaiju's like is he like a corporate shill kind of like he's big time?
Basically, the Coca-Cola and their world is called Kaiju Cola, and he's completely sponsored by them.
Sponsored, yeah, exactly. He's completely sponsored by them, yeah.
And he's got this rad little mech that's named Zentradi, which is cool because that's actually Robotech.
Okay.
The evil aliens in Robotech were called the Zentradi, so that's kind of a nice little wink and nod to that.
Yeah, so he's out to get I think he's out to get Crash and maybe take out Stiletto at the same time, right?
Right, because
get a double whammy. Yeah.
And that's how funny because when he's running to chase Stiletto, he's asking the mech if the pilot, if he's actually gonna get any of the money from the bounty, and they're like, no, because you're just a worker, and so it's kind of tragic that this guy's gonna go and like do all this crap, and he's not even gonna get paid at all for it because he's a corporate shill.
Yeah, he's a corporate shill, pretty much. He's
there's a lot of
sponsored. Yeah.
There's a lot of really funny kind of pokes at society with that. In the way that only the really good Brits can do it, and I like that Dave Cook like went there. He did like the total almost Judge Dredd thing where he is definitely making fun of American politics in this book, and in a lot of really fun ways because there's a lot of allusions to the healthcare system and a couple other things in the book. But yeah, the whole corporate sponsorship thing,
like a few times, like to be able to afford, like you said, medical care and stuff. Shinji becomes a wrecker so he can afford to give his sister, pay for his sister's medical treatments and stuff. So yeah, like you become a slave to corporations just so that you can pay for just basic needs, right? Like medical and stuff like that. Yeah, and they buy people out by promising them stuff, and creating the wreck fests and everything, trying to
Yeah,
control
basically
people.
to distract them so they don't know how crappy they have it. They kind of, the whole thing with the wreckers is entertainment as a distraction to keep
Yeah.
people from understanding what really happened with what happened in Zone K, which we'll get into later because I don't want to. That's when we kind of get into spoiler territory. But yeah, uh, the fight with King Kaiju sees Shinji and Stiletto teaming up because they both kind of want the same thing. Though Stiletto kind of wants to monetize Crash's ability to maybe cure the rot, but him and her and Shinji are gonna team up and work together. And
yeah, and that's what's that? That's the end of book 2, where
yeah,
the
where they
explosion and she falls, and
yeah
they announce her death at the end of book 2. And then we kick into book 3, where we have a little change up in the art team. So Craig Paton leaves the book, and this is where Clark Bint joins the creative team. And for me, I know you loved it right off the bat. For me, I was used, like, 'cause I read the first 2 and I was used to Craig Paton's art. So then when I saw Clark Bint, it was kind of jarring because they don't have the same styles at all. Like I'd say Clark Bint has a much more energetic style with like extreme perspectives and stuff like that, of like when they're jumping, like, like he has, not that Craig Paton has a lot more shots like framed from far, like longer views, where Clark Bint has a lot of like really close ups with extreme perspectives, very very very, like, for the action sequences, very dynamic kind of stuff going on. So at first I was like, whoa, this is like definitely a change in aesthetic. But by the end of book 2, you really get used to his style, and I love him as an artist. Like you said, he also worked on
Frank at Home on the Farm with Jordan
Frank
Thomas.
Frank at Home on the Farm, which is an excellent book. I enjoyed his work in that as well. So yeah. And as he goes along, he just gets more comfortable with the characters. And by book 5, his art is on point, like beautiful, like stunning splash pages, and like just his bigger panel work too. Like in the bigger panels, just the detail he puts in, just stunning work there. Yeah. So anyway, we'll show you pages from all that stuff. Yeah, like yeah. So yeah, book 3 starts, and that's
we get introduced to Yumi pretty much in this one. Like
yeah, they tell you Yumi's story, right? How the what is it, Flirter company? Yeah, Flirter. They create is it a sex doll or like a bot companion?
It's kind of a bot companion, but like it's definitely made for pleasure. They make no we're telling you that because it's basically the replacement for VR porn.
And you get little glimpse of the pleasure bots throughout the first couple issues. You get the Yuri bot. You see a little glimpse of them throughout issues 1 and 2, and then they really start tackling the story in issue 3, in book 3. This is where Dave really starts to get into the meat of the story, how this disease came to be. Then you're kind of more introduced into the larger villain. Like you have the wreckers and the corporate aspect of trying to control people. You have that, like, companies are evil, but now you have an actual real villain, main threat that's going to be introduced in this book. Yeah, as the main antagonist, let's say, which is Io, which is directly tied to the Yuri story.
Yeah, and Yuri's basically this a lady that was rendered basically dead, but her mind still works. So they harvested it and they basically used it as a model. I guess they got consent from her somehow, but like her intelligence is the model for these pleasure bots, so they can have a sense of humanity and
empathy towards humans, so they don't revolt or fight against them, or so they're docile and compliant.
But yeah, you end up finding out that the kind of the rot and like the basically the hive mind that communicates between all the mechas is called Io, and it's actually got a purpose, and it kind of starts talking to Crash and kind of starts trying to play him against the humans, trying to tell him that, like they're not who you kind of think they are at first, and then he goes and tries to help save Omi, like he kind of promised that he would. And
Mm-hmm.
at first, it looks like it's going bad, and everybody kind of overreacts, but the treatment actually works. But like they end up scaring off poor Crash in a
Because
really sad moment.
yeah, because Omi has like this crazy reaction, right? From the because they jack in, right, and they do it in the uh, what do you call it? Like not the internet, but in the virtual world is where Crash goes in to try to uh, disable or neutralize these nanobots, like you were saying. And then when she comes out, she starts screaming, and like she goes into like this mini coma that what she's out for what a little while, and
Yeah,
then they all turn on Crash, right? What did you do? You killed, like you hurt her. So then they all turn on him, and because like you said, like he's a little innocent and juvenile, right? So he kind of panics and takes off, and then now they all, the people who they thought were his friends start hunting him, and this happens all because of the IO kind of was
waiting
uh,
for him to jack in like that,
to
so
jack in, yeah, to
trigger its big machination, its big plan.
yeah, and that's what leads to, and that actually does something which is not. I won't go into big thing, but that has huge implications for Omi's character later on. That whole sequence is the catalyst for what Omi's character will become, and play a much bigger role in moving forward in the story. Yeah,
Yeah, because she kind of wakes up as Cyber Daredevil in a way.
yeah, that's true. She wears the yeah, she can wear the blindfold and
Echolocate, just like
yeah,
Daredevil.
all the mechs and like stuff like that. Exactly. Yeah, she has like a connection to all the mechs in a way. Hmm.
But it works better if she's actually not seeing. She actually like prefers to like be blindfolded, and so
Hmm.
like yeah, like I was like cool. She became Daredevil in a Freddy sweater.
Yeah, and this is after that. What's his name? Crash bolts, right? Because he's sorry. He feels guilty. He thinks he hurt her because he doesn't know yet either, right? They all. So then he bolts, and they put together a uh, what is it? I won't see a hunting committee, but they want to go find him, right? Because they find out that he actually cures her after a while. Like they send out Stiletto. Who else? Is Shinji part of the original crew that
Oh,
goes out?
they send out Stiletto and Blaze's brother Travis, because Travis.
Travis. Yeah, Travis and Stiletto go out. Yeah, to go try to hunt down or track Crash. But the IO sends out a message to Crash, so he's seeking IO out, or Yuri, whichever, they're connected because the IO took over or dominated the Yuri programming. So IO is kind of in fights Yuri a little bit, and like they kind of have that dueling aspect of the character
Right. Well,
with
basically,
all the bots.
it's kind of taken over for the most part, but Yuri's still there.
Her
And
consciousness is still kind of like a voice in the background, right? And in the mhm. Yeah. So then Crash ends up meeting up with, and she of obviously Crash, because he has no memory of his old life, which she kind of fills him in on little bits here and there, but manipulating him and saying that humans will never understand mechs and they'll always want to kill them, and being innocent, like we were saying before. He kind of gets manipulated and believes her, right? So he turns on the
well,
people who he thought.
she's kind of
Yeah,
taking him over at the same time too.
yeah, she's just waiting for him to allow himself to open himself up to her so she can come in and then take over. But it's all through manipulation, right? Like emotional manipulation.
Yeah.
And
Well, basically, like they needed to do it for the story, but like, I, Shinji is such a dick for what he did to Crash, man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that scene made me so mad at all the human characters. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, you guys are fucking dicks. But I'm always on robots' sides. Like, ever since I was a little kid, I've always liked robots, man. I've always thought they were cool. And then like Crash is just such a cool design. Like, I know a lot of people say Chappie, but he reminds me of Briarios from Appleseed,
Appleseed. Yeah.
but like skinnier. Like Briarios is like not his buff little brother.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I liked his design. I thought he was a really cute, cool character. And yeah, when that happened, I
Yeah.
was like, fucking dick.
Really, really sympathetic. Like it's a character you empathize with, right? Deeply, and like you feel his hurt. Like when they turn on him, you feel betrayed as much as he does when you're reading it. Like you said, it's almost, it makes you angry, right? So then you empathize with him and kind of understand why he would let himself be manipulated or taken under the wing by this uh, AI or whatever you want to call it, mech or intelligence, right? Mm. So, yeah, that's book 3. And then in the end, I think the last page is when they are face to face and when they join forces, Crash and the AO.
Yeah. And then book 4 kind of starts out. You learn Stiletto's backstory, where she's actually an American from the South, I guess, and was trying to get to China, and with her parents, and they're shipwrecked, and like she ended up being brought to Japan, and she got bought by a ninja clan. And there's this old lady named Nizumi who like basically trained them, and she had this dude named Ajin, who's like this big samurai guy, but like and not always like he's kind of reminds me a bit of Briarios too, but not in the looks department, but in the way the character is. And
Mm-hmm.
he's a pretty badass character, and
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of
He,
learn,
yeah, they develop a bond, he and her, as
yeah,
they get trained by Nizumi or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, yeah, where they have a little moment.
yeah, they definitely we're a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, they're not brother sister relationship at all. But it's cool because she takes in all these orphans, right, and trains them to protect the lower class, the underclass, right, against uh, the elites, the one percenters, right? That's what Azumi's goal is to always kind of like a Robin Hood, right? Kind of ideology.
Yeah,
So she trains all these orphans to always protect the underclass when they're unrightfully persecuted, or so the protector of the voiceless.
and then basically Stiletto's company thinks that she's dead, so they're gonna pronounce her dead and try to give her company away to her business manager, a guy named Dick, who pretty funny character throughout the whole series. He's kind of like a comic relief type dude. Like there's a couple scenes in I think issue 2 with her with him where she's kind of just punking on him the whole time she's there.
Yeah. Another corporate shill.
Yeah.
The biggest of them.
So yeah, a lot of book 4 kind of sets up the like, big conflict, which I don't want to spoil too much of because I really want people to get this book and read it. But like I'm going to talk a little bit more about Stiletto and her company because I think that's fair to kind of give away, right? She's
Yeah, and book 3, no, book 4. That's where you have the big fight sequence, right, where they meet up with Crash after he joins up with Io.
yeah,
That's
and
in book 4. That's great. That is some great action in there. Like once you get to book 4, you get the first conflict with Crash, AO against like Stiletto and the what's the name? What's their name? Not the Wreckers, the other crew, the hackers and everything.
man, what are they, the Centuro 17 or they got like a
Yeah, they have a little name for their crew, like like Liberators or some shit like that. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. So you you get that little conflict with the pleasure bots, and there's some great action sequences in that, some fun stuff in there, great panels by Clark Bint, and you get a little Judge Dredd moment here and there. You get some it's great. Like book 4 has a lot of stuff, a lot of great stuff in it.
Yeah, it's where it really picks up. The last 2 issues are very action heavy.
Yeah.
With a lot of really good exposition.
Yeah, they go into a lot of backstory, like you said too. Like I think was it right at the beginning of book 4 where they do the stiletto backstory?
Yeah, it starts with her going to the party where like they're signing over her company, and it does the flashback of her as a little kid, and then
yeah, because so that's at the end of book 3, then the big fight.
Yeah, I think so. Where Travis.
Okay, so it's at the end of book 3, the big fight, and then Stiletto gets hurt, and then that's when they open up with the flashback on book 4.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, great. Like, it's great the way they open, like how book 3 ends and how book 4 opens is just perfect. The way the 2 books like marry together from the end of one to the beginning of the other, it's just fantastic. It's really well done.
It is really nice how he keeps the consistency through all the books too, because there's always that one news announcer. What's her name? Kazu.
Yeah.
Constantly with being like, "What's up, suckers?" Yeah, she's really over the top, but I really like that he made at least once in each issue she popped up and stuff to like really give you this sense of consistency where like you never felt it like, hey, this isn't the same world. Like sometimes I do in certain books where kind of changes art styles and everything. I really like that he kind of everything really consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I meant by the end of book 3, like from the change in the art team, like by the end of book 3 with those action sequences and stuff, man, that's when you see Clark Bint really starts to get into his groove. And then book 4 opens and it's like, whoo, yeah. Then book 5, he just, ugh.
Yeah, it's sad that it ended with book 5 because like they were really like at that perfect level as a creative team. Like you would have liked to seen it go a little bit further to see if they got even better.
Yeah. Then you have like the Wreckers, like her nemesis is one of her nemesis is Bloody Mary. She's introduced in which book is it? Is it right off in book 2 or?
I think they bring her up in book 4, but they don't really show her until. Okay. Oh no, I think they bring her up in book 3, but they don't show her until book 4, and then she has a big part in book 5.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then like at the end of book 5, you have the hint that there's going to be more. Maybe not of this exact story, but from other characters in the world of Killtopia. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if that's still something that's going to be coming, but it was nice to see at the end.
Well,
there'll be more stories from this world.
Dave likes to do that. Basically, his other book, Beatdowns Per Minute, the Final Fight, Streets of Rage comic that he's got running right now. That's actually a prequel to Killtopia. It takes place before, like, I don't know, a couple hundred years before like the big explosion in Sector K. But okay. Like Dave said, it's legit in canon, a prequel series to.
Okay.
And then I think that his other books are also tied in some way too, but I don't think as fundamentally as Beatdowns Per Minute is. But
yeah, because I saw him hint at another book that's in the works right now. So, and I don't remember if he had a title for it yet or not, but he showed a few teasers on social media.
Which is good. I love this guy's work. Like
and that first page in book 5, that first splash page, I was like, wow, what a way. The first page you open up and it's like, whew, Clark Bint just blows you the fuck away with that first page in book 5. Fantastic splash page. It's really good. Yeah. And I don't know, did the colors change as well? Like, does Clark Bint color? I don't remember if he colors his own work in this or not.
Hang on. Well, the thing is like they cut out the credit page in the PDF. So,
okay.
Here, let me get my physical copies out really fast, and let me look at issue 4 because I don't have 5 yet. Like the PDF for 5 just
Oh,
came
the
out.
PDF. Yeah. Okay, 4. No.
See, like, book 4, we have colors by N.L. Ashworth.
Okay, yeah, because the colors. Let's see if it's the same color as from book.
Book 3 is N.L.
No,
Ashworth.
book 2, like when it's Craig Paton, I think he does his own colors. All the art is done by him.
That makes sense because I have his art book hard coded, and his art looks exactly like this. And yeah, just says art by Craig Paton.
So you got Clark Bint with a colorist, and like the colorist too. I find in book 4, starting with book 4, really starts to. I think the two together start finding a groove. I think that's why the art gets so much better because the colorist, and I don't know if they work together on Frank on the Farm, but
I don't think
know.
so. The colors were nothing like this on Frank.
Yeah, so I think like the colors with the artwork really find their groove starting like when you see that. I think the opening page on book 4 is pretty impressive too, and the colors and everything, and that cityscape, that opening splash page on book 5 with them looking off the ledge of the building over the city, and there's that nice callback to the baseball scene from book 1, I think, in book 5, right at the beginning. So it's a nice callback to the first book. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I liked the little things that he added, like that with the brother and sister playing baseball again. That's another thing that like really kind of just keeps the book, the continuity
grounded.
In the book great.
Yeah,
grounded and great. Yeah.
Yeah, and relatable. Like like remembering better times and hoping that if they can succeed with this plan, this mission they have, that maybe they'll be able to enjoy those better times again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, much like how you said, like the art came together with on the first page of book 4 and book 5 for you. For me, it was book 3. I saw this.
Yeah, that's the pleasure bots, right? The scene where they explain the pleasure bots.
Yeah, but the O face there, man, like the way Clark did it, man, it's just so funny to me, and I was just sold right away. I was just like,
see, early on, like I find Clark sometimes he has like that Todd McFarlane little bit flair to his work in some panels.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say earlier. He's got a really 90s style is what I would kind of call it, like with the exaggerated, a little bit like Robbie Ramos, I think is his name, who would do like the really kind of exaggerated characters all the time.
Dude that worked on Spider-Man a little bit, Ramos.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff with X-Men.
Yeah, like there's sometimes that I get that vibe of like of a little bit of McFarlane, that guy maybe, like you said. What's his name? Who's the artist? Gilroy, is that it? The one who did Chew?
Yeah.
Sometimes like sometimes you get a little bit of that Chew vibe to it a little bit sometimes too.
Old school Tony Daniels, like when he drew the 10th, like his old Image comic shit kind of looked like that.
Yeah, I dug it. Like I like the style. Both artists did a great job. Like the first 2 issues were great. Like we said, like Craig Paton has that kind of throwback indie style. And then you have Clark Bint that comes in with like that more action oriented 90s throwback to the 90s, a bit like McFarlane and stuff. Yeah.
Probably a little nicer than like their work ever was, but yeah.
But I mean, right? It's based like I can see its influence, and he just took it and ran with it, brought it to another level,
which I think is fun. And like another thing that like he did that I really like is like I said, he threw in like these weird little manga flares. Like when they're telling stories, he would draw like little chibi versions of the character, kind of being all cute, sitting there listening to the story. And I like stuff like that kind of made me giggle a little bit because I see that in manga all the time, but like I didn't expect to pop open a Brit comic and see it. So and the way he did it, it wasn't like he was completely ripping it off, but like there's always kind of been manga flair to it. Not really manga, but like maybe early anime. like
Yeah.
inspired, like definitely like Kira and the Ghost in the Shell, like
Like
Jenna.
when it's cool when they hack too, right? You go into the world.
Yeah,
Like they jack in, and when they hack, you go into like this cybernetic kind of surreal world, which is kind of cool. And that's where you see a lot of like cool visuals, like you're saying too. Like when they go to try to find the like a back door into the company to get like these files on stuff to help defeat Io or the Yuri, like the bots. So they find a hack, and when they go in there, and it's cool, like how kind of like the Matrix, you know how you can get physically hurt if you don't. What is it? They turn off the neuron. Anyway, when he lands and he lands on like, of course Shinji, you know, he lands
yeah,
on his head when they go into the hack and they get into the system, and she's like, yeah, don't forget to turn off the your sensors or whatever, because it yeah, that's always funny. Yeah. Shinji, man.
long story short, and without uh explaining too much or giving too much away, there is a really awesome twist to the backstory of Crash and the mechas in this book that I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed. I'm not going to give away. I want people to read that and have fun with that themselves. But like, it takes a really hard sci-fi turn at that point,
Yeah.
which I still enjoy. I thought it was really neat that they went there. I was just like, that's cool. Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, and it has a little sprinkle of horror elements in it too.
Oh, definitely with the gore right off the bat.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this panel I show. This is like, how many pages in is this where they showed like the record
Oh,
getting the whole
page
blood in his head,
page 4 or 5 maybe.
like straight up Jeff Darrow style? That reminds me of
Yeah.
that cover of Hard Boiled with this
Mm-hmm.
looking through the hole of the guy's head.
Yeah, yeah. Craig Patton has a little bit of
Darrow.
Darrow. Yeah, he's got a little bit of Darrow in him, for sure. His style, a little bit. Yeah.
So yeah, right off the bat with this book, it was definitely gory, but like,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
Turbo Kid style, in my opinion, is a little
Yep.
bit.
Well, dystopian, right? It's a dystopian book, so you're gonna have, yeah. It's a cyberpunk dystopian sci-fi with just a little sprinkle of horror elements in it.
But I think it toes the line between being kind of wacky and like actually having some good emotional hits to it, and like some good characters, you know, that you actually feel for. So
Oh,
it took
definitely.
like a really good line between the two of being, you know, zany and wacky and being
And
emotional.
and what I love is it didn't take long for Dave to create a rapport, like when you're reading it with the characters he introduced, like right away. Like he hit the voice. These characters' voice are very clear. They're so they're very easily relatable. So it sucks you into the story very quickly, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's got a very professional way of writing. Like I said right off the bat, like this book should be running in the pages of 2000 AD magazine at the least, if not at Dark Horse. So it's
Well,
kind of
I don't know. This series is complete, right? Now you got all 5 issues, and they're pretty thick issues too, right? They're like almost
50,
all 48,
almost
50 pagers. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they're fat boys.
it's going to be a nice thick collected edition, almost 300 pages, probably, with all the
Yeah.
back matter he's going to throw in.
So I don't know if they're going to shop this around to publishers, or if he's just going to do a Kickstarter for like maybe a collected hardcover for it, or what. But
His Kickstarters go make bank, so maybe he makes more money crowdfunding than he would at a label. You know,
with a publisher, yeah,
a couple guys we talked to said that that's the case for them. So
yeah, because this book is excellent. Like I mean, fantastic book.
yeah,
Fantastic.
it reads like a professionally released comic, not like your average Kickstarter. I'm not saying that there's a bad with a lot of Kickstarters, but not most of them are written with the proficiency that this one is. This reads like you're reading
someone who's not at their first rodeo, right? So,
but I mean, like right off the bat, this book did like win all kinds of awards. You know, like even with the debut issue. So like, I just really hope the best for Dave, because he's always been super nice to me whenever I've interacted with him online, and he was one of the first people to ever give me a review copy to read and review on. Yeah, my buddy Jake from Comics Academy was like, "Hey, my friend wants to review your comic," and like Dave was like, "Okay, cool, here." Just kicked me the PDFs in the DM. I was like, it was him, and then Jordan Thomas with Frank at Home on the Farm, and Lane Lloyd with God Puncher. Those were like the first three like Kickstarters that I got kicked to do reviews for, and
all great books as well.
yeah, I mean, like that, you can see why I jumped in like with head first after those. You know what I mean? And just like started backing every Kickstarter I could for a while there.
Yeah, you got that. What was it called? Super backer badge pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the gold rush at that time, though, man. There was nothing but books at that time, but like,
well, Kickstarter was at its pinnacle, pinnacle back then, like because of COVID and everything. Because a lot of publishers were slowing down or stopped putting out books for what was it, a good 3-4 months.
Yeah, because of the spy plane issues.
Yeah, so Kickstarter definitely had a good run there. Yeah. And I mean,
until goddamn Keanu Reeves ruined it.
Yeah,
well, really. We love you, Keanu.
Yeah, I didn't back that. I ordered it through the comic shop. So.
I got the regular trades for it.
Yeah,
I'm happy with them.
Yeah. I didn't do the Kickstarter. I saved my money for maybe lesser known names, like not that Zack Snyder doesn't deserve to, kickstart something, or Jeff Lemire, but I tend to kickstart like usually the big names will be released on the publishers anyway. Like now, Cosmic Detective, Image is publishing that. It was just a matter of time.
You knew it was. I'm actually surprised it's not a Dark Horse book. Wow.
Yeah, well, he signed some kind of deal with Image, right? So.
Yeah. Okay, that's why all of his stuff, even what's that new one? Fly.
From his Substack.
Yeah, Fish Flies. Like that's an Image book where it looks like it should have been a Dark Horse book, like all his books like that before.
Yeah, because he signed a deal with Image a little while back. So I think all his Black Hammer stuff is still Dark Horse, but I think maybe all his other stuff is all his other indie stuff is going to be all Image exclusive type deals.
Yeah. Right, that's awesome. But yeah, as long as Dave Cook is doing Kickstarters, I'll probably keep on backing him. Like his VPH book's a lot of fun. It's a lot differently toned than Killtopia, but I have a lot of fun with it. It's definitely themed to be like Streets of Rage, the video game, but like a comic book version of it. And I have a blast with it, but it's a lot more the zany and a lot less of the relatable. But it's still a really fun book, and in the art style, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's got more of a Scott Pilgrim art style, eh?
Yeah, it definitely looks like the art looks like the video games it's emulating. It's definitely got kind of like a 16-bit kind of character-looking people, kind of manga-esque, but not quite. Yeah, like Brian Lee O'Malley, but maybe a lot more detailed than he draws his stuff. Not Pilgrim stuff. But yeah, I definitely said there's that Brian Lee O'Malley flair. But like, if you're gonna do brawler comics, like, there's no way anybody's not gonna draw that conclusion nowadays. He just kind of wrote the book on it.
Yeah. So cool, man. I really enjoyed this series, and I think well, I mean, the Kickstarter's over now, so people.
But it's widely available. You can get it on Amazon.
But it's widely. Yeah, you can get Amazon. I think you can get it off his website. I think you're saying too.
HP website, because he doesn't just print and release Killtopia. He actually releases other people's books on his label too. So he's got like a Frank Whitley art book and a bunch of other stuff that's available.
So yeah, man, go check this book out. Like,
yeah, it's widely available and it's very reasonably priced. I think they're $12 an issue,
which is what, like we said, around 50, a good solid 50 pages. So, I mean, you're getting a lot of story in each book, which was great. That's one thing I really appreciate about every.
Yeah,
I think it's, he doesn't call it like issue 1. I think it's called book 1, book 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Because it's like a little book or volume, yeah.
Well, yeah, it reminds me of the way the Europeans release their books, kind of, like, except for theirs are taller. They got the magazine size books, where this is kind of
digest, more of a digest kind of format.
I don't even know. They're bigger than digest. They're even bigger than like the heavy metal drummer issues. They're like the weirdest shape I've ever seen. But they're somewhere between a digest and a regular issue size. It's hard to say. I don't know the aspect ratio of the. Do you have yours handy?
No, this is EPHK.
See, that's a little more wide though.
Yeah, this is more like square.
Yeah. Whereas theirs is actually comic book shaped, but it's like there's like a third of it cut off, or not even a third, maybe like a.
No, I don't think I have it here. I had it kicking around the other day, but my office is a mess.
But they're worth it. They're nice. Each volume is a nice long read, even though like you think like 50 pages, that's not too like. I think that they take a good half hour to get through each one of them, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a good read. Yeah.
There's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot going on, a lot of story all the time. Like this thing evolves constantly, and you learn more and more about the world in each issue. And none of it seems crammed in, though. All of it makes sense. All of it flows perfectly. It's a very well-paced comic, and I can't recommend it highly enough.
And every character is really well fleshed out. So I mean, it's great. It's a great read.
Really fun world. So I really hope some of you might check it out. Dave definitely deserves all the patronage he can get because
yes, sir.
He's promising up and coming new voice.
I 100% agree with you.
So, man, that was Killtopia. I'm really happy we finally were able to get into it because we kind of been planning this for a while. I think we were actually going to cover it with book 4, but like I was sick at the time, and kind of turned out perfectly that if I was going to be the last one, we were just like, fine, we'll wait for it. And it's good to finally get this one out because I absolutely love this series. I have since Jump Street, and now that it's over, I'm going to miss it, man. I love it.
Like this series gets quite a bit of love, but I think it deserves much more.
Yeah, it's definitely loved in its circles, but like it deserves to be widely appreciated. You know what I mean? More widely appreciated, not widerly. Like I'm making up my own words here, Mom. But yeah, we'll be back on Friday. Like Joey said, we'll be talking about Peter Milligan and Duncan Fagredo's Enigma, which is just a beautiful book. Very, very special, important book. And then on Sunday, we're going to be doing a hot flash. It'll be a super shorty issue. We're going to talk about Robot Todd by Farrell Darnpole and Weird Work issue 1 coming out from Image Comics by Jordan Thomas and Shaky Kane. And that should be a lot of fun.
Yes.
So we got two more this week. Both be pretty good, pretty fun, impactful episodes. So I really hope you guys join us. Until then, have a nice one.
Have a great week, everyone.